to be reading from her second book. Is it the first novel? Yeah. Meadowlark, her first novel as well, and she has a slideshow for us, which is really cool. So, I guess, without any further ado, I do want to say she teaches, if you do not know, at the community college, in the education department, and doing some creative writing courses.
Well, this could get so messy so fast if I actually started thinking about it. But luckily, Mom and Wynn bought waterproof mascara for me for the first time since I was in 8th grade. And now I really am really grateful that they did. I can't thank you enough, and it could get really messy. So thank you very much. And I wanted to thank Collective Works for hosting this event, and I wanted to thank my publisher, Pronghorn Press, who was not able to be here, and then I wanted to thank my literary agent, Elizabeth Truckenfoley, and I would love nothing more than to introduce each and one of you and tell everybody how much I love you, but I think I'm going to keep it just to my immediate family, and so I would love to introduce my parents, Dean Wink, and Joan Wink, who drove 15 hours through driving through all that rain. They drove from the ranch in South Dakota to get here, and they leave at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. So they got here last night. They're here just for this, and so I wanted to introduce my son Wyatt, who's back there, and our other son Luke, there he is, Luke, and our daughter Wynn, she's over there. And my husband Noe Villarreal. So often people ask me, how did you get the idea for this book? And so I wanted to just kind of dive into, that would be awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't find, it's like whatever. So people ask, well, how did you get the idea for this book? And the idea, what is really, I was born into this idea. I just didn't know it until I was 36. And the ranch where this book takes place, where Meadowlark takes place, has been in my family for 4 generations. Mostly, except for one wheeling, dealing relative who lost it briefly. But in general, except for that little blip on the screen, it's been in our family for 4 generations. And I grew up listening to stories about my great-grandmother Grace. And my mom was very much raised on this ranch in the summers with Grandma Grace. And I grew up listening to these stories. And one time, and like I said, I was 35 or 36, and we were folding the mountain of clothing that comes with 3 small children. And all of a sudden I said, Mom, what about Grandma Grace and Paul? And she said, and she kind of stopped, and she said, I don't know, but I've always wondered. And so I wrote a book to find out. And so this book is very much stories that I heard about my Grandma Grace, a few stories that I heard with this fiction and story woven between. It's very much a book based in the land, based on family, based on love and friendship and beauty. But everybody always asks me, Dawn, where is that ranch again? I know you've told me like 10 times, but where is that ranch? So I wanted to show you, and the novel takes place, it starts in 1911, and on this ranch when it was a homestead. And so I wanted to show you, so here we are. So South Dakota is right there. So here you go up through Colorado, you go up through the state that seems never to end when you're driving it. Wyoming is like unbelievable. And then and it's right over here. And it's right it's on the prairies, and so for those of you who've seen the movie Dances with Wolves, that's very much what it looks like. And I wanted to give you some of the context of what was happening when I was writing this book. Yeah. And that is the lane leading down into the ranch. This was a couple of years ago, and one of the things you'll see in the photos is the changing of the seasons, and that's very much a character of the book, is the changing of the seasons. This is the homestead now, as it looks, and so this is where I wrote the book. This is where I walked the land, and this is what it looks like in the summer. And this is, well, I was raised on a ranch in Arizona, and there's Dad and B. My children are very much raised on the ranch in South Dakota. So here's Mom, and this is she and Dad were out checking cows, and those are the 3 kids who fell asleep. So I just wanted to kind of give you a sense of what was happening as this book was being written. And so there's the kids, and we're just going to kind of go through those, and Wyatt and Lynn, and it's very much, we say in our family it takes a ranch. And so that's very much, and so there's Luke and Dad riding. And while all of this was happening, I was understanding, I was always kind of at this point thinking about Grace and thinking about Grace's experiences. And it's a working cattle ranch, and so here's at one of the brandings. And here's feeding all those cowboys who come to the brandings. And you will, in Meadowlark, Grace cooks a lot, because cooking for cowboys takes up a ton of time. And so I wanted to kind of give you a visual of now Grace would have been doing this, 3 times a day. This is at a branding. There's Lynn and me a couple of years ago. And there's Dad with his mares and foals, and so it's a cow-calf operation, but also we have a number of quarter horses now. And there's Dad and Wyatt. And all throughout this, I'm like scribbling in my journal, writing in my journal. And here is Mom, our beloved horse Frankie. And yesterday when we picked up Aaron and Wynn from volleyball, when Aaron was looking through Mom's iPhone, she's like, "How many pictures of Frankie do you have?" And Mom says, "Never enough." So that's this is how we live, and this is where we spend our time. This is over at Christmas this year, because I wanted to give you a sense of also how bitterly cold it is. It is frequently 70 degrees below 0. So I know no matter how cold I am, I never ever say anything to Mom and Dad. And so it was Christmas, and we had hooked up a feed pallet behind the truck, and hooked up chains onto it, so it was like prairie sledding. And so that was the kids, and we were driving the truck around, and all I could think is, and this is the moment when I hear the music, it's like such a redneck moment. Okay, and then, so go ahead. And so during all this time, I'm writing, I'm parenting, Mom and Dad are parenting, and the ranch is a huge part of our life. And I wanted to also just kind of share some of just the land, because the land there is, it always takes primacy because of the weather, because of the fact that you are utterly dependent on it. And so I just wanted to take a couple of moments before I started to read for you to really get a sense of when I'm reading about Grace and when I'm reading about what she's going through, to get a sense of this is exactly where she was. And we'll just kind of go through these and just hold silence and have a chance to look at the
snow.
There's some of the horses in winter. And this is called, this is something that I didn't know about before Mom and Dad moved to the ranch, and it's hoarfrost, and that is spelled H-O-A-R. But it looks like very icy